We just watched Wolfman.
This is our first movie of 2025.
Yes.
UIP arranged a preview and we had some ticket giveaways to go with it, so a couple of lucky guys.
Yeah, it was very short notice, but we're glad.
It was like 12 hours notice.
Yes.
But people jumped and they
got
came.
the tickets, yes.
And I'm sure they enjoyed it. I did. It's not what I expected, but I'm glad it's not what I expected.
Yes.
Because you can only tell this Wolfman movie
so many times in the same way.
And it's Leigh Whannell directed and co-wrote it. He did Saw and The Conjuring.
And it starred Garner from Ozark fame and Christopher Abbott.
She's always good, although I've only really seen her in Ozark.
We saw her in something else, but I can't remember now what it was.
There's a Rosemary's Baby prequel that we didn't get to see late last year.
Yes.
I still want Apartment 7A or something like that. I could be wrong. So Leigh Whannell, he started out writing. Did I say Conjuring? I meant Insidious.
Yes.
He wrote Saw and Insidious, did stuff with James Wan, and he's branched out into directing. He also did The Invisible Man, like a modern version of The Invisible Man, and obviously both Invisible Man and The Wolfman. This is just called Wolfman, as in Wolf Man.
Yeah.
Not The Wolfman.
Yeah.
Those are classic Universal movies. So I don't know if he's going to also attempt Dracula and Frankenstein and Creature from the Black Lagoon.
If this is his approach, it would be interesting to see what he would do with the others. I really enjoyed the lead, Christopher Abbott. I don't know if I've seen him in anything before.
Yeah, he's not. Doesn't look too. He looks familiar, but I can't place him in anything.
He looks like that guy that I can't stand, director.
Eli Roth. No,
yeah.
Eli Roth has more sharper features. This guy's got more.
He looks like Eli Roth's older brother, but a gentle version.
Okay. This movie is quite. It's more a tragedy than a horror movie in many ways.
Absolutely. I was like snot and trana at the end of it.
It had very much the Fly vibe to it. David Cronenberg's The Fly.
It so reminded me of that. Yeah.
Obviously,
it's strange.
Someone kind of being, well, in this case, he's infected.
Yes.
They get into the story quickly. His father is declared dead. He grew up in the woods on a farm with his dad. Little intro that brings all that out, and also hints at this thing in the woods. And 30 years later, he's married with a kid, and then he goes back to the farm to just go and kind of wrap things up.
Yeah, because his dad goes missing and then gets declared deceased.
Yeah.
He goes back to the farm to have to pack up basically his dad's estate. But it's before they even get there, some things in the road they crash. Yes.
And he gets scratched by this thing.
The movie starts like it's like that little intro, but then it starts and then you're in it. Yeah.
It feels like they have to kind of introduce the characters. And little hints of things that will come up later. Yeah. As they always do. When you see it, you'll know. That this is going to come up again.
It's not your standard wolf.
Yeah, so
vibe.
It's not a case of werewolf, full moon, that kind of thing.
No.
It's kind of like rabies or something.
Yeah,
but like heavy transformation turns you into a creature.
It was very much like I think this movie did for the werewolf idea. What something like 30 Days of Night did for the idea of a vampire. It really like sort of took the vampire down to its sort of base.
Yeah.
Animalistic, sort of just instinctual.
And it's more not gory, more sort of visceral, not like flowing hair or dog features.
No.
Like pretty looking dog.
No.
Like American Werewolf in London is still one of the greatest werewolf movies ever made. And it's
definitely.
It's definitely not in that direction.
Yeah.
It's taken its own interpretation, which
it's
is
a
good.
very unique interpretation of the whole story. And they all did an incredible, the three of them.
Yeah, and it's also very much this kind of a contained survival in a farmhouse scenario for a stretch.
Yeah.
And then a very cool thing, it wasn't his point of view, but it was more, it shifted to his perspective.
That was incredible.
The way because he starts, the way he starts deteriorating and he can't hear what they're saying, and it's sort of like this, his vision is more intense.
Yeah, and his hearing is more acute. His senses are all like your dog would be like. And
he's confused, and they confused. They can't communicate. They can't
it's
understand
just
garbled.
him.
It's like probably what our dogs hear.
Yes.
When we speak to our dogs, that's what they hear.
My dog just hears.
Can you understand me? You're scaring me.
So that was a very cool angle.
And it made him, that whole idea made me feel incredibly sorry for him.
Yeah, no, it's a very sympathetic situation, because it seems like, which I'm sure the plan was as well, is like he's like kind of trying to communicate with him, but he can't, and it freaks them out the way he is reacting. He's just getting more and more.
Yeah. And then they've obviously worked some very sort of trademark animal kind of ideas into his behavior, which I also thought, which is also more visceral, but is and almost like bordering on cruel. But I think it sort of brought it home that he is no longer the sweet man that he was, because he was a very sweet man.
And that's his whole theme of him telling his daughter that he has to protect her and stuff.
Yes.
And that's kind of how his dad brought him up in the woods.
Yes.
That was his job. And
ultimately, he even though he transformed, I think somewhere in the back of his head he still had the notion to protect his daughter.
Yeah, because I mean, in a way, I guess depending on who watches the movie, but that's probably that's the way we interpret it. But I think that is more than likely what
was intended.
Leigh Whannell intended with the screenplay.
But it's quite if you think about the original Wolfman with the denim and the
and interestingly,
head.
I've actually never watched the original Universal Wolfman.
Nor have I. I've never seen it.
We've got the box set with all the Frankensteins, all the Draculas, and all the Wolfman movies, with his little busts as well. There's a nice box set I bought years ago, and I still haven't watched it, so we have to now watch it.
Yeah.
And the last month there's actually been a whole bunch of wolf movies. We also did a ticket giveaway for Werewolves, which is more like a violent action kind of a movie.
Yeah.
Never got to see that. Still would be cool to do that. And also, what's his name? Jon Snow. Kit Harington?
Yes,
is that his name?
I think so. Yeah.
Joe Bob Billington. Yeah, I think it's Kit Harington, I think his name. And I think, is it The Beast Within?
Yes.
We also haven't watched that yet.
No.
So so there were quite a few of these type movies now the last month.
Yes.
But this one is definitely an interesting take on it.
Very much. I mean, when I think of the sort of whole idea about lycanthropy and like all of that, obviously the first thing that comes to mind is American Werewolf in London.
Yeah.
But then more also like the sort of the funnier stuff like Teen Wolf and
The Howling. There were some very cool werewolf movies. Which drop your favorite werewolf movie in the comments quickly.
Yes, let us know.
We'll wait for you. Okay, is that enough time? No. Okay. Let us know what your favorite horror. I mean, yours is obviously American Werewolf in London.
Yes, it's also the movie that probably traumatized me most in my life.
Also because you love dogs.
Love dogs, and saw American Werewolf in London way too young.
like Evil Dead.
Yeah, like Evil Dead. I couldn't.
And The Nightmare on Elm Street.
Couldn't understand the black humor that was in it. It was just, for me, it was just horrific end to end. And I remember still as a teenager being physically scared of a werewolf, like walking from my friend's house back to our house, and then when I get to the garden gate, I'd always feel like, ugh, especially if it was already dark. Yeah, but that's just my very active imagination.
And if you're wondering what's happening here, we are still on holiday. Well, I guess in America people call it vacation. And Sonia wanted me to grow my tash out. So I did it, and now it's all grey, patchy, crappy all over the show. So it will be going soon.
I like the tash, and I'm sorry that it's going.
It's just for our December time off. But yeah, I would give this movie score-wise, I'm between the 7 and an 8. Do we do halves? I can't remember if we do halves.
Yeah, we do.
Okay, then I'm going to say 7.5.
I also want to give it a 7.5. I want to give it an 8 because at the end it really got me. I felt so sad.
Then I'll make mine a 7, yours an 8, so that we can have a 7.5, because we can't do 7.25.
No.
Okay, so no, we don't do halves. Sorry about that.
And I think it's just because the movie is it's such a departure, and it's so unusual, the way that it was done, so clever.
It's far more like a drama,
heartfelt,
like a family thing. It's
a tragedy.
Well, not a family movie. It's not.
No, but it is in a way. It is.
Yeah. It's not Kramer versus Kramer drama, but they are at the beginning. They're kind of having trouble. They're writers. He's not working at the moment, and his daughter kind of relates to him more than his wife, so they kind of bump heads a bit with stuff. But at the end of the day, it boils down to if you love someone, you care about someone, and something hectic happens, like what do you do?
It really.
It's like I said, it's quite a tragic movie actually, instead of a enjoyable horror movie.
It does have its moments of scares.
It is a horror movie by no means. The Sonia scarometer, was it 3?
Yeah,
I counted
think
3.
3. Yeah.
But the sound design was very good, and the music, everything blending in.
So good.
The sequence where it's at the door, Sonia was like jumping for each freaking bang. We didn't count that as the scarometers. Okay, let's add that as one more scare. So make it 4 instead of 3.
Because it just didn't stop. It was,
And it was very, very, the tension was built very, very well.
It was, I really enjoyed it.
I didn't expect to, because last year, when they have this Universal Halloween thing at Universal Studios, people were completely baffled. They had this little Wolfman exhibition section, and the Wolfman makeup, people were completely, what is going on here? So I don't know who did the makeup for this Universal little thing. I don't know.
Well, what it is definitely not is that one.
It was not directly based from
that transformation. That's a meme. When the oak changes into
with the pieces.
Yes. It's not that. No.
Okay, yeah, definitely not that. But the thing is, it doesn't look like a wolf.
No.
And I think that's what confused people. The movie's called Wolfman.
Yeah.
But it's not a full-on wolf.
Although there is a section of transformation that was so good. It was very not over the top. It was very subtle, but I thought it was so good.
Also, the beginning of the movie is it mentions where native people. It's set in
Oregon.
Oregon.
Yes.
And there's a little script at the beginning with a hiker that went missing, and people say that he got this kind of a
Disease.
and the indigenous people call it
Wolf face.
wolf face, something like that.
Yeah, wolf
so
face.
it's kind of like if you would kind of call it some kind of a rabies thing that turns you into something that seems like a wolf,
Yes.
as opposed to
Yeah.
you are a wolf.
Yes, yes.
But now we're probably saying too much,
Yeah.
like we always do.
No, we don't.
Okay, we don't.
But this is also something you have to see and experience for yourself.
I would recommend it.
No, so would I.
I went into it thinking it's going to be, but I was pleasantly surprised.
No, I was also. Yeah.
Yeah. So go watch it if you get the time, and if you don't wait for it. Yeah, I mean, is it necessary to watch this in cinema? Can you wait for it to get released
I reckon.
on home on streaming?
Look, I mean, if you've
For
got,
me-
the sound was, I would watch it in a cinema.
Yeah, the sound. But there was some. There was
It's very
a warehouse scene. You know, we always complain about
Yeah.
is it the projector? Is it the contrast of the movie? Is it the grading? But it was just so milky.
Yes, it was. I mean, I'd like one shot. I couldn't even figure out what she was doing.
It is such a dark scene,
Yeah, yeah.
and it's just sort of
But there is a brilliant
Grey.
scene within that.
attached to that. Yes,
Yeah.
but that's why if
No,
it was
don't say anything.
no, but if
Yeah.
the blacks were black
Yeah,
and
yeah.
not grey,
Yeah, but that also almost
It
made
would have been
that
more
scene
effective.
more effective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so
Yes.
yeah, cool. So we also watched one of our last movies we watched last year, which we reviewed, but I didn't have time to edit it because we were busy with the Horrorfest at the time.
Yes.
Smile 2 we reviewed.
Oh, Lord.
And as we were watching this, I was thinking of Sonya's Scarometer. I remembered a sequence in Smile 2 with Sonya.
That
I've
was
never heard her scream so loud
insane.
in my life.
I don't think I ever got a fright like that.
That
I
was
thought
good.
Drag Me to Hell, there's a scare in there that I felt my hair go grey. But I didn't verbalize it. This one was the same level, but it was verbalized.
That was funny. But I'll still edit that because I think we'll probably post that one when it's available
Yeah.
to stream, because I was still in cinema at the time.
Yes.
But anyway, cool. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, like, wada, yada
Yeah.
yada. Watch some of our other stuff. You know, movies are never finished.
Leave a
watch them.
comment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
comment please. People, you know, it's not like you have to now watch this movie now and now that's it. It's
Yeah,
finished.
if you don't catch
Just-
it in the cinema, it's probably not the end of the world. But yeah, it's definitely something worth watching.
So you can watch old reviews of ours, because those movies are still available to watch for eternity. So yeah, check them out and let us know what you think. Thanks, and we'll catch you at the next one.
Bye.